generations to come.
Welcome to another edition of the TDN Writers Room Podcast, a Kentucky Derby edition, as you might imagine. My name is Bill Finley. I'm a correspondent for the Thoroughbred Daily News. And if you're wondering who I'm going to pick in the Kentucky Derby, does that give it away, perhaps?
There you go.
I'm Randy Moss with NBC Sports here on the backside of Churchill Downs. We're doing 16 races in all, so not just the Derby and the Oaks, which is why my Hall of Fame driver, Jerry Bailey, and I have been back here trying to, dig up some news.
Well, you're going to find a lot of good stuff to dig up. I'm Zoe Cadman here with First TV and First Racing. I'm on my day off. I'm actually out in the middle of the desert here. And look, I have a special guest. You haven't seen him in quite a while. We've got Doodle here. Come here, Judy.
Hi, Doodle.
Doodle. Oh,
The Doodle. Doodle wanted to say hi.
I wish I had Lucy to show you.
He's having a nice siesta.
Well, guys, we thought we'd do something a little bit different and hopefully fun for this year's, rather than going down the field and Randy saying, I don't like this horse, and my saying, I do like this horse and whatnot. We're going to have a draft, just like you would have in the NFL. And we're going to take all the horses from both the Oaks and the Derby, and we're going to pick them one at a time. You can pick 3 straight Oaks horses or 3 straight Derby horses. Doesn't really matter. And then you get 5 points if you have a winner, 3 points for second, 1 point for third. And it should just be fun. And yet when you give your picks, just give a little thought about what you like about them. Zoe drew I drew the short straw. I'm going to go last. Zoe's going to be first and Randy second. All right, Zoe, this is who is this year's number 1 pick in the TDN Thoroughbred Daily News Kentucky Derby draft?
Well, it's finally ladies first. It's about time you guys clicked onto that. So I'm going to take the Kentucky Derby favorite. Baeza is still on the outside looking in as of Tuesday, as of this taping. So we're not including him. Otherwise, he would definitely be in here. I'm going with journalism. In my mind, nobody has trained better. Nobody has looked better. Rispoli breezed him to perfection the other day. That was exactly what they wanted. Big, strong horse. Perfect draw for him. It's journalism for me.
All right, so I have the number 2 draft pick. Okay, I think journalism is probably 2 links better than any other horse in the field. But I also happen to think that the second best 3-year-old in the country is Baeza. And I think he's going to get in, because by the time Heisa gets through with all their veterinary examinations, and we've still got 3 or 4 days left to go, I'm expecting somebody to drop out or be dropped out. And so I'm going to take Baeza and roll the dice with my draft pick.
We weren't going to use him. Isn't that what you said?
I'll let him use him.
Okay. I would have picked him otherwise, because he would have been my top pick, but we were told we weren't using him. That's all.
Well, I can't believe you guys left me the most obvious number 1 pick in the whole draft. Who is the most likely winner of either of these races going to be the shortest price? I'll take Good Cheer, and thank you. I couldn't believe he still left to me. She still left to me at the 3rd pick.
Okay. Then I am going to take Grande for trainer Todd Pletcher. He's really impressed me in his local works. He comes in with some very good numbers. I think he's flying under the radar. He actually ran a better number than Rodriguez coming out of the Wood Memorial. He gets a Hall of Fame rider in Johnny V. And I mean, how can I leave Todd Pletcher and Johnny V out? It's pick number 4, Grande for me.
All right. I think one of the key elements in any contest is to understand the rules. I thought we were doing just the Derby and then just the Oaks. So Bill kind of threw me a curveball there with Good Cheer. I will take then with my next choice, I will take Sovereignty in the Kentucky Derby.
All right. Well, I will take then my man, Sandman, And thanks to John Green from DJ Stables for sending me this shirt. But his record speaks for himself. I think he's one of the horses that's going to benefit from a fast pace. Might need to grow up a little bit on the green side, but he ran very well to win the Arkansas Derby. And if he puts it all together in first Saturday in May, I think he'll really make a presence for himself. So Sandman for Bill Finley.
Wishing them all the best of luck. My next horse is going to be Quiet Side going into the Kentucky Oaks. She's 8-1 on the morning line. I've really, really liked how she's looked over the racetrack. She just looks so strong. She's keeping Jose Ortiz aboard her for trainer John Ortiz. Perhaps we're going to have an Ortiz win in the Kentucky Oaks. I really like what I've seen from Quiet Side in the morning.
All right, I'm going to lose this draft. I can tell you that right now. I will go Simply Joking in the Oaks. I think the Oaks comes down to Good Cheer, Quiet Side, and Simply Joking, and maybe 5G. Oddly enough, I think the Oaks is kind of a classic case of what you see in person or on video, and then what you see on paper in the analytics, because watching Good Cheer, she looks absolutely dominating in all of her races. But then on the analytics, on the numbers, she doesn't have that much of an edge. So which do you believe, your lion eyes, or you believe what you see on paper? So I think she's beatable in here. So I think Simply Joking is going to run big. I'll take her.
All right. Well, Tenma didn't run that fast. Her buyer number went down considerably in her last race. She is the best filly from California. Has got Bob Baffert behind her. Randy, do you have any theory? What was the number? She went down to a 79 or something?
And that was actually boosted. She actually ran,
wow.
If you just strictly go by the numbers, and the variant, she actually ran a little slower than that. It was a very, very bad race, the Santa Anita Oaks.
Yeah, no, I understand, but she's still, that's why I'm getting her as my sixth pick or something like that. But I'll believe in Baffert. She's got a great record. We'll see. She's going to run better than she did last time out. But again, we'll see.
I'm going back to the Derby for this one, and one of these days, Japan's going to win everything. So I'm going Luxor Cafe. Gotcha, right. I knew you were waiting for that. Yes.
Oh, I'm dead in this contest.
Yeah.
I got nothing now. I got nothing. I'm empty. I might have to pass. Let's see. Okay. I wasn't even thinking beyond Luxor Cafe. I knew no one was going to take Luxor Cafe. Okay, how about it's got to be a stretch runner. He's definitely not on my short list, but we've already gone through a lot of the horses on my top list, so I'll take Burnham Square.
Have you liked how he's looked there?
I haven't seen him.
Okay.
We've got 14 other races besides the Derby and the Oaks, and we're talking to Ian and all that, but as far as watching horses on the track, I don't have time. Unfortunately, I'll watch videos before we do the shows. You tell me, how's he look?
He looks good. He's not an overly imposing horse. Like you put him next to journalism, you're going to be like, but he just skips along over that racetrack.
Okay, yeah, he's a very plain, ordinary horse. I know from talking to Ian in the past. As a matter of fact, he had one of his buddies saddle him when he broke his maiden, Brian Lynch. And Lynch called him on the phone and said, wow, he's sure not much to look at, but he can run.
All right. I will go in the maiden. Publisher, trying to become the first maiden to win the Derby since 1933. Randy, I know you'll know this because you know everything. How many maidens have won the Derby?
I don't know that. I would say one, and I think it was Sir Bart.
The horse I just mentioned in 1933, Broker's Tip, then some horse in the 1800s,
right.
and Sir Bart.
Right. So I would say two.
But it hasn't been done since 1933. Who won it? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I'll take the maiden. Publisher.
Okay. Lucara for me. She, again, has worked terrifically over the trip. She's got speed. Her Ashland race was just really, really pretty to look at. Dylan Davis had many choices to make in here, and he sticks with Lacara, the daughter of Street Sense. She likes Churchill Downs. Don't have a problem with that. She's probably the most seasoned of every horse in here. And I think since the last time I saw her at Del Mar, she's really filled out and grown into a beautiful looking filly. So I'm taking her on the up and up. Lacara for me and Mark Cassie. I'm so winning this, Randy.
All right, I'm gonna. Yeah, you're winning it, Zoe. You or Bill. I'm gonna fill out the trifecta. Unfortunately, I will stick with the closer theme in the Kentucky Derby. I'm trying to exhaust all the logical closers. I think Tiz-Tastic's still out there. I probably prefer Publisher a little bit, but Tiz-Tastic won the Louisiana Derby. He's an off-the-pace horse. He's improving. So I'll take Tiz-Tastic.
All right. Boy, how the mighty have fallen. With the 15th pick in the draft, I will take the horse that has fallen as far as Shamari Sanders. What was the kid's first name? The Dion's son was supposed to go.
Shadur Sanders.
Shadur Sanders is Citizen Bull. I'm getting him with the 15th pick in the draft. Last year's Breeders' Cup Classic winner. I don't really like him in here. And Randy will tell you that he's going to be caught up in a fast pace. He probably will. But we are down to the 15th pick. And this is a horse that, has shown brilliance at times. It's got the best Derby trainer in history behind him. Why not?
You got me on that one, Bill. I was going to go for him. So I'm going to go with the other Baffert, Rodriguez, for me, coming out of the Wood Memorial. Hall of Famer Mike Smith, 58, not 59, as reported. He's 58 because he lied on his jock's license. So I'm going with Rodriguez and the Hall of Famer. I liked his work over the track as well. That's one thing I just like to zone in on, is how they look training over that racetrack.
All right. I think Citizen Bull sets the pace, by the way. All right. So let's go. Has 5G been taken yet? I don't think so. So I will go back to the Oaks. I think the winner has got to be either Good Cheer, Quiet Side, Simply Joking, or 5G. So I'll take 5G.
I will take the underdog, the little horse in Louisiana, Cole Battle, for Lonnie Briley. Well, guys, let's take a little break here now. And then when we come back, we will talk more about the Kentucky Derby and the Oaks and finish off our draft. Randy's already thrown in the towel, says he can't win, but it's going to be a good contest. And somebody's going to have that, $80 winner of the one of the two races. And it's going to be like, I want to draft ones with our Kong.
Let me ask you guys before we go to break. Did you all see the work yesterday from Citizen Bull? I thought he looked terrific.
Really?
I did. I didn't see it in person, but I watched the video.
Good to know.
And I think he's personally, I guess we can talk more about the pace in the next segment when we talk about the Kentucky Derby, but he looked good.
The TDN Writers Room is brought to you by Keeneland. The Keeneland race meet and April sale, which showed gains across the board, are now in the books. And it's now time to turn our attention to Keeneland September. The Keeneland September entry deadline is May 1st, and the impact of Book One reaches far beyond the auction ring. It's where the industry's most influential buyers compete and elite yearlings command attention. With results that set the tone for the entire sale, Book One is a statement of quality and an opportunity to position your yearlings at the top on a stage where the world is watching.
Leslie's Rose, Sierra, Leon.
Mike, $5 million. Thank you.
Carl Spackler, a Mercy. She feels pretty.
This week, the fastest horse of the week is brought to you by Heartland, one of those fast sires at WinStar Farm. Heartland, a $575,000 Keeneland September yearling, with a champion's pedigree. He's by undefeated Triple Crown winner Justified and is a half-brother to champion 2-year-old Classic Empire. His only career start, a brilliant one. He was a TDN Rising Star after earning a 90 Beyer speed figure at 5.5 furlongs in the fastest time of any 2-year-old at Del Mar or Saratoga all that summer. Heartland has been well received by breeders in his first season at stud, standing at WinStar for a fee of $10,000. Fastest horse of the week ran Friday in an allowance race at Keeneland. Remember this name? Unmatched Wisdom? Sounds like a Seth Klarman horse. It is. Trained by Chad Brown, was ridden by Flavian Pratt. This was the horse that began his career last year as a 3-year-old, a perfect 3 for 3. They ran him in the Travers and Pennsylvania Derby. That didn't end well. They laid him up, brought him back in the allowance race at Keeneland for his first start of the year. Bingo, a winner by 3 1/4 lengths with a Beyer speed figure of 103. What a nice start to his 4-year-old campaign. Unmatched Wisdom, our fastest horse of the week.
All right, so let's round out the field of our draft picks for the Derby and Oaks extravaganza. The first prize in this contest is a slap on the back from publisher Sue Finley, as she says, "Job well done." So that's what we're all playing for. All right. So we are more than halfway through, and the ones that are coming up now are kind of the not the stellar horses. They've all been taken, but I will take in the Oaks Drexel Hill for my pick.
I'm sure glad we're not playing for money here. I will say that. And with my, let's see, what would Commissioner Roger Goodell say? With the 19th pick in the 2025 TDN Kentucky Derby Kentucky Oaks Draft, Randy Moss selects American Promise. In Coach we trust.
You know, he got a really good Thoroughgraph number in his last. He's either going to move forward or he's going to bounce to the moon, but he doesn't look like a horse physically that can bounce. He's huge.
What I'm worried about the most about American Promise, he's a big, beautiful son of Justify. And because of his size, his first strides out of the gate are not very fast. It takes him a little while to get that engine going. And in the Kentucky Derby, in the 20-horse field, if your first strides from the gate are not all that fast, it can be fraught with peril because suddenly the spot gets taken by the horses on either side of you, and you're pinched back, and you're much further back than you initially wanted to be. And that's my big concern with American Promise. But if he can avoid that, once he gets rolling, like probably the second quarter mile, I think he can certainly be heard from.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you as well. That's a good pick. I'm going back to the Oaks for Will Walden. Bless the Broken, Johnny V, fresh off a win on the poly track, but does have some good form at Churchill Downs, having just missed by a head, breaking a maiden there. So Bless the Broken, 30-1. I'm not sure we get any extra points for long shots, do we?
Don't think so. Maybe we should have factored that into maybe next year. That's actually not a bad idea. Sorry. All right, I'm going to take the $2,500 buy, Chunk of Gold. Talk about horse with the coming off from the wrong side of the tracks. Randy, I'm surprised you didn't pick him as one of your closers, or you can eventually get him.
I like Chunk.
Okay.
I think next year we should go by payoffs instead of points, right? Just price, just total money, win, place, show. So let's see. I've used American Promise. I don't really like Neo Equos because he's speed. Chunk of Gold's already been taken. Cold Battle's already been taken. Are we going all the way?
Yeah.
Wow. I told you last week half the field was a throwout. I think I've already taken 3 of my throwouts. Zoe, help me out here. You're going to win.
I mean, if I help you out, I'm going to give you my next pick. I'm not helping you. You don't need my help. No. Who are you? You're on your own.
All right. Here's the deal. I'll take, again, Stretch Runner. That's what you need to have, I think, this year in the Kentucky Derby. I think Citizen Bull's the only horse that's got a chance to go wire to wire, but it's going to be really hot early, I think. What if Final Gambit is a lot better on dirt than he is on synthetic? He's only run on turf and on synthetic. We don't know how good he is on dirt. On synthetic, he's not fast enough. We know that from the Jeff Ruby. He won, but he was green. He was just, it wasn't a very good field, really, and his figure wasn't all that good. But he's trained really well since he's been here on dirt. Maybe he's 5 lengths better on dirt than he is on synthetic, and maybe he's going to be another Rich Strike. So I'll take Final Gambit. I think from Zoe's reaction, that may be who she had in mind.
Damn it. Damn you, Randy Moss. So blinkers off, Flying Mohawk for me, 30-1 on the morning line. I'm hoping that he's going to be a closer as well with the blinkers coming off him. So I'm choosing a turf horse in the Kentucky Derby. Wouldn't be the worst thing that's ever happened, right?
All right. Yeah, we're getting down to the ones. Randy, I'm going to do the same thing. A horse that I threw out, but, when we're down to the 10th, 11th pick, you're not going to get the Heisman Trophy winner. I hate this horse, but he's still sitting out there, and he's a good horse, East Avenue.
All right. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm totally screwed in this. I will go at this point. I have no other options. How about I'm just throwing names out? Who's left? I'll take Owen Almighty.
Okay.
He's game at least. He tries hard. Yeah. Maybe he'll be better sitting just off the pace than he was on the lead, although I seriously doubt it. But at this point, I'm grasping for straws.
Well, I can't believe nobody's picked the Eclipse winning jockey, Flavian Pratt. Never mind the horses. Let's go with handicapping the jocks right now. So I'm going to take Pratt on Ballerina d'Oro for trainer Chad Brown, a guy who knows how to win good races with fillies. Yeah, you forgot about that one, didn't you, Randy?
Oh my God. I'm so dead. Yes, I forgot about that one. I was just sitting in Chad Brown's office when I told you that's why I was late for Steve Kornacki. And Chad is very confident that Ballerina d'Oro is going to run a big race. He thinks Good Cheer is the only horse in there that can beat her. Wow. And he's not even sure that she won't beat Good Cheer. So
isn't she a little slow, Randy?
On numbers, yes. In her last race in the Gazelle, she was a little slow, but she was also running sideways from the quarter pole to the wire. And it was very strangely similar to the conversation we had a year ago about Sierra Leone and his lugging in. So just like Sierra Leone, Ballerina d'Oro doesn't do it in the morning. She's straight as a string in the morning. And Chad believes that with the 14-horse field, enough to keep her mentally occupied, enough of a target, that he hopes at least that she'll run straight in the Kentucky Oaks. And if she does, he thinks she's talented enough to win it. And Zoe has her on her draft team, and I don't.
All right. Well, I will take a horse that your horse, Ballerina d'Oro, barely beat last time out, and that is Early On. For
undefeated.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. With the what? I don't know what my pick is now. What number it is, but you're handicapping the jockeys, you say, Zoe, because you were a jockey. If Baeza doesn't get in, the best jockey in America will be riding Neo Equos in the Kentucky Derby. So on that basis, and since he's left, and since there's slim pickings, I will draft Saffie Joseph trained Neo Equos from the C2 Racing Stable and Company.
Okay. Is anyone baffled by the fact that Pratt really didn't have a live Derby mount or an Oaks mount, considering the amount of travel he's done this year, trying to find one? I'm just completely blown.
Which is why he'll probably win the Kentucky Derby with Baeza, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Isn't that the way these things typically end? I don't know. Yeah. We'll see.
It completely blows my mind, and I would have picked Baeza as my first choice had I known we could pick him. Anyway, moving on. I'm going to pick Fondly because Randy's not looking at the PPs, and he mentioned that early on was 2 for 2. That is Fondly, who's 2 for 2 for training.
Yes, it is.
So I'm just going to steal his thunder because it's Randy. So I'm going Fondly and Graham Motion. Another horse who's looked really good training over the track. She's short on experience, but long on talent.
Thank you for so politely correcting my serious mistake, Zoe.
So now we're down to, these are like the rest of you, down to my 26th, 27th, 28th pick. I have Anna's Promise as the only horse in my top 20 that hasn't been taken yet. And to be honest with you, I don't even really know who she is. I didn't study it that hard, but I'll take her. At some point in my life, I ranked her at number 22. So there you go.
Okay. Take Charge Milady's probably not going to make the race. Although Kenny McPeak told me this morning that he's 70% confident that she's going to make the race. So really? I guess I'm wrong in my estimation. And he thinks she'll run well if she does make the race. So hell, I took Baeza and he may not even run. So let's go with Take Charge Milady.
Okay. So that leaves me, I guess I'm going to have to go with Admire Daytona, who's by Defrong. Hey. So probably, I don't know, and out of a Shackelford mare, Shackelford won the Preakness. So, yeah, Admire Daytona for me.
Talked to Kate Hunter from Japan this morning, and he's doing very well according to our Japanese liaison.
Yeah, he's a pretty looking horse. Good looking.
So who else are we going to take off the dumpster dive? How about Quick Kick for me? And I think there's only one horse left.
Who's left in the Derby?
I believe Render Judgment is the only horse left in either race. Correct me if I'm wrong, someone?
Yeah, that's right.
So Zoe doesn't get a final pick? Oh, she's gonna win this. She doesn't need a final pick.
All right, so you could give her Render Judgment just to be a gentleman.
I will do that. I will. She so nicely corrected me when I was wrong about it.
All right, Render Judgment to Zoe.
Yes, there you go, Zoe. It's yours.
Well, that was fun, guys. I wish you all luck. Randy, I don't think your stable is nearly as bad as you think it is, but it'll come down. It'll be decided by the 45-1 shot that runs second in one of these races, or maybe even wins. So that's likely what's going to happen. But that was fun, guys. We'll have to maybe tweak the rules a little bit next year. And I think the TDN needs to sponsor this so we can give money away to charity or something like that. So first go of this, and we'll hopefully have it bigger and better next year.
It is Derby weekend, finally, in the Bluegrass. And as always, Kentucky Breds figure to put on a show. After all, Kentucky Breds have won the last 8 runnings of the Kentucky Oaks and the last 10 runnings of the Kentucky Derby. This year in the Oaks, 11 of the 14 entrants are Kentucky Breds, including Good Cheer, Quiet Side, and La Cara, the top 3 on the morning line. Then in the Derby, Kentucky Breds are even more dominant. 18 of the 20 right now, and Baeza as well on the also eligibles. Bred in the state of Kentucky, including the top choices, Journalism, Sovereignty, and Sandman. Kentucky Breds, buy them, raise them, race them. We all win.
With some of the fullest fields in the country and quality racing year-round, there's never been a better time to reap the rewards of breeding and racing in Kentucky. Purse money in Kentucky is at an all-time high, as is average purse per race, outpacing California, Florida, and New York. Kentucky Breds. Breed them, raise them, race them. We all win.
PA Bred, I think we've built a brand at this point.
It's excitement, at every step.
Roses for Deborah just set a new track record.
On average, for the past decade, Pennsylvania paid over $28 million a year in Breeders' Awards, restricted races, and owner bonuses. Plus, PA Breds shine on the world's biggest stage. Just 3 states have bred more Breeders' Cup winners. Learn more at PABred.com.
The TDN Writers Room, also brought to you by our friends at the PHBA, the Pennsylvania Horse Breeders Association. And congratulations to Smarty Jones on his first ballot selection into the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame. The only contemporary selection this year for the Hall of Fame. We always knew Smarty Jones was one of a kind. The 2024 Derby and Preakness winner, 8 for 9 lifetime, earning over $7.6 million. And from the Kentucky Derby, now to the Hall of Fame, Pennsylvania Breds perform. Meanwhile, keep an eye out for the lightly raced Pennsylvania Breds Simply Joking, my draft pick, one of them, for the Kentucky Oaks. That should be a fantastic race, and Simply Joking is in with a big shot. To learn more about racing your own PA Bred, take a look at the 2025 Stallion and Boarding Farm directory online at pabred.com or call 610-444-1050.
We welcome in now the Gainesway Guest of the Week, and he's got a special one this week. Steve Kornacki, a man of many skills. He can cover politics. He can cover horse racing. He can cover the NFL. I think he could cover just about anything. But he is, people may not know this, but because you see him on TV with all his work with MSNBC, that he's a horse racing nut, so to speak. Steve, well, first of all, before we get going, I know you're getting on a plane in a few minutes to go to Louisville. Do you have Derby fever yet?
I do, yeah. I just looking at the forecast. I'm flying into some tough weather, and I'm just hoping Saturday can be kind of the island in the middle of this depressing forecast. But otherwise, who doesn't the first week of May?
Yeah, I think we've all got a little bit of Derby fever going on. But I want to know where this love for horse racing came from. I mean, well, have you been a fanatic for years? Did you grow up riding ponies as a kid? How did it start?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a story for a lot of people, right? Where I had a relative, an uncle in my case, who would take me, when I was a kid, take me to the track, who was really into it, and kind of caught the bug from him. He was up in, still is, runs a beach store in southern Maine. So we'd go up there in the summer. Scarborough Downs was the local track. It was harness racing. It was the trotters, but a lot of good memories there, and then just kind of took it from there, and here we are.
Have you been on a horse?
I think there was a birthday party when I was in elementary school, and I might have been on a pony. Although we're doing a piece for NBC this week to air during the Derby where I might get on one. So we'll. I'm afraid I'll make the horse nervous. I don't know.
So, Steve, what do you have? I'm sure by now you've been working on this probably for several weeks. And you know what people who haven't watched you on MSNBC don't maybe not know is you're just do a phenomenal job of explaining things through numbers and trends and patterns. And you've taken that and transitioned that to horse racing. What are you looking at? Do you have anything cooked up yet? You're going to be able to say that, so-and-so horse is not a good bet because blank, blank, blank.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we're looking at, we're hardly alone in this, I'm sure, is the pace scenario in the race. And I think taking it from the angle that, there was that sense after they introduced the point system, back in 2013 that, the sprinters are out of it now and it's slowed down and the speed is holding a lot more. And we saw that for a long time there. And it seems the last 3 years, obviously, that's changed. You had that torrid pace in 2022 that got Rich Strike in there. You had Mage coming from off. And then last year, Mystic Dan was sort of mid-pack, but I mean, right around him in that trifecta, Sierra Leone, Forever Young. I mean, you had closers coming in there, again, taking advantage of a pace that heated up a little. So that seems to be the mini trend. And then obviously when you look at the composition of the field this year, you just see speed, especially on the inside. You get East Avenue there. You maybe Owen Almighty. You just see so much of it. It's almost. I was doing a one of these podcasts yesterday, and I found myself in the middle of it, trying to like almost talk myself into being counterintuitive and say somehow the speed doesn't materialize. But obviously, it's all you see on paper.
So, are you allowed to tell us kind of how you're handicapping this? Because you mentioned all the speed. We saw Citizen Bull absolutely blister yesterday, go 45 and change. You know, there's no way he's not going to be part of the pace. Where are you landing, Steve?
I haven't landed yet, and I'm torn, to be honest, because I mean, I've got a couple of closers. I'm really interested mainly in the closers. So, you know, a horse like Grande, you know, maybe more mid-pack with Grande, but someone coming from off the pace. Grande really interests me. I was a little curious about Tistastic, maybe to get even a little crazier about it. Chunk of Gold, maybe coming from way off of it, but I can't. This is a gut thing. This is not a numbers thing, but I can't shake the feeling that it's just everybody says pace. All the pace is there on paper, and maybe a couple of them don't break great. A couple of them sit off because they're afraid of the pace. And what happens? Bob Baffert, you know, maybe Rodriguez, Mike Smith goes to the front and takes him around. So I'm scared of Rodriguez. I'll tell you that.
Steve, it was announced in the news media just a few weeks ago that you're staying within the NBC family, but you're not going to be a regular on MSNBC anymore. Instead, you're going to work for the network news and NBC Sports. So it sounds like a nice promotion. Congratulations. But how will this affect your horse racing and NFL coverage? Will it give you more time to do these things? Could we, you know, they've been sending you to the Derby and I believe the Breeders' Cup, but could we see more of you on NBC's racing broadcast going forward?
Not sure about that. I will say this week, the way it just kind of worked out for a variety of reasons, I'm getting to go down earlier, and I think just, you know, I was actually down last week too to start taping something for our Derby coverage. And it was, I mean, in the past, I've gotten down there, you know, basically 48 hours out, and getting a chance to go early, you know, go to the backside, you know, early in the morning, you know, talk to some of the trainers, see the workouts. It was a great perspective I haven't had before. And especially being there last week, you know, before the crowds really got there, you know, I think I got some real insight that I wouldn't have been able to get before. So certainly, you know, it's given me more prep time here, you know, obviously in terms of more racing, you know, be great if NBC could pick up the third leg of that Triple Crown again. Unfortunately, we lost that a couple of years ago, but they got me doing the first two legs of it. They got me doing Royal Ascot. That's always a treat. You know, we'll have Breeders' Cup, and even got to crash the Pegasus in January. Bring my family on, including the uncle who got me into it. So that was pretty cool.
Now, on election nights, will you do the same thing you've been doing on MSNBC for NBC?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was your Royal Ascot experience?
I love it. I tell anybody, I mean, it's like the Derby. You don't have to be a horse racing fan to go over there and just have a great time and just take in the scene. But I will tell you, like, and this is there's a bit of bragging here, but it's also like I'm mystified by this. So I tell people about it. The betting over there is obviously it's different. A lot of it's win place. You can do an exacta and a try, you know, first two, first three, but they were like, you know, they were baffled at the betting windows when I was putting down, you know, because they've got fields there that are like, you know, 20, 25 horses. So my approach in those is, I don't know European racing that well, so I will do exacta boxes, try boxes. That's essentially what I do when I go over there. So I'm betting a try box, and the tellers are like confused what I'm trying to ask for. They do have the bet. There's a bit of a language barrier, I guess, or, you know, whatever. But it's a totally, I hit the 2 years in a row. I hit the try, and this is like the dream. This is the dream story. I will be telling this one until I die. I go to cash the ticket last year, and I shut down the line because they didn't have the. And it wasn't. It was a good payout, but it wasn't. It would not shut down a line in the United States. But I guess people just don't bet them that much. So I got someone taking video of me. We got it on NBC last year, going up to the teller, and she says, "I'm sorry, sir. We're going to have to shut the line down so I can pay you." I said, "That's my head doubled in size there."
You achieved every horse player's dream.
There it is.
Steve, what kind of handicapper are you? What do you focus on?
Not a good one. Always hoping to do better. No, I look, you know, I do like speed figures. I'm very, you know, I pay a lot of attention to speed figures. to the buyers. It's been really interesting, hearing Randy, talk about those, just given that he does them. And, trying to figure out pace scenario in a race. Obviously, we're talking about that here with the Derby, but, trying to figure out, are they going to go fast up front? Is this going to set up a closer? And then, just looking for little angles in terms of like beatable favorites. And, I like playing around with Formulator on DRF, looking at like trainer stats and trying to pile a couple of variables on top of each other, see if I can uncover something there.
Steve, you mentioned you'd gone to Churchill already. Are you allowed to say what kind of features that you've shot already? Do you have a favorite person on the backside?
Yeah, so I got to go finish it hopefully. So I hopefully I'm not getting ahead of myself on this one, but I think we're going to have a profile of Dwayne Lucas to run on Derby Day. Obviously talked to him about American Promise this year, but really talking about just he's 89 years old and he's still at it, and he's actually having kind of a renaissance the last few years. He's somebody I admire him. I always have, and I tell people who don't follow horse racing much, I just say think of whatever your big sport was when you were growing up, and think of who like the star of that sport was when you're growing up. And that's what, for me, following horse racing in like the 90s, that's what Lucas was. I mean, he owned the sport. He owned the Triple Crown Series when I really started paying attention to it. And then to watch all these other trainers come up, he gets surpassed. Baffert comes up, Pletcher, his assist, all of them come up, and he really kind of fades out of it there in terms of being a big player nationally, but he doesn't quit. And he just keeps getting up, getting to the barn at 4 a.m. and so he's winning the Oaks at 86. He's winning the Preakness at 88. And it's just, I love that story.
Are you a fanboy?
Yeah, unashamedly. Yeah.
So, Steve, I'm going to explain something. I want you to explain something to people. You talked about what kind of handicapper you are, but you left out the most important element in your handicapping. And tell people first of all, there are no 13 horses in the Derby this year.
No, there is.
There is?
Publishers at 13.
Oh my goodness. So he's got to be essential. All right. What is this crazy system? And actually, I know because you inform us from time to time when you have big hits. Tell us about, I think it was a pick 4 or pick 5 at Naira. You hit using this and for a huge score.
Okay. Now you got me talking about at Ascot. Now you're going to ask me about my pick 5. This is, this is dream stuff. But no, this comes from the uncle I was talking about there, a minute ago. He got this from a guy who was a jockey's agent at Suffolk Downs in Boston back in like the 1960s. And the guy told my uncle, it's simple. You just take the last 3 finishes for a horse, 7th place, 2nd place, 4th place. It adds up to 13. That's a 13 horse. And that's the magical number. So bet the horse, key the horse, do whatever you will with it. So that was, when my uncle started taking me as a kid, he would give me the form, and that was my job. It was just find the 13s and circle them. And that was the thing he could tell my mom, because she got a little upset that he was taking me. He said, well, he's learning math. That was how he did it. And then the story all comes around. Like my uncle with the 13 system, and the other thing he hates favorites. He's always giving you a hard time if you bet the chalk. So we're at the Pegasus this January down in Florida, and they put me out with my family. He's there with me. Just make a pick for the turf race. It was a fun little thing. And there was a 13 in the turf race, the Pegasus Turf. It was Nation's Pride. He was a 13, and he was also like 7-5. So my uncle actually on the air, they asked who he liked, and he said the 13 horse, Nation's Pride. And we haven't stopped. We'll never stop giving him grief for this, because we tell him now, you had one chance in your entire life to make a pick on national television, and you went with the chalk, and the chalk lost.
Well, welcome, Randy Moss. I'm sure you have some questions for your colleague,
Randy
Steve
was there
Kornacki.
How's it going, guys?
Good.
I'm obviously on the back stretch at Churchill Downs. We were actually sitting in Chad Brown's office when the podcast began. My apologies. Jerry Bailey's the chauffeur, but he's absent right now. What's that?
I said he could have joined us too. We could have had a party.
Yeah, no kidding. I'll tell you this. I wanted to make sure I came on in time for Steve. One of the single best things NBC has ever done in their horse racing coverage is bring Steve Kornacki on with his enthusiasm for the sport and his knowledge of the sport. Obviously, as you can tell, he's not just some political junkie that has a small interest in horse racing. He probably knows as much about horse racing as he does about polling and politics. So that makes it awesome.
You're making my head big here, Randy. Although I got to tell you, I'll tell everybody this. You might remember. So again, this was at the Pegasus this January. My family's down there. So after the race, White Abarrio wins, and Randy walks past us, and we just start talking. And my uncle starts saying, "Wow, that was really impressive." Gee, I'm trying to figure out what do you think the buyer's going to be for that. And I said to him, he makes the buyers, and blew my uncle's mind.
I remember there was a lot of talk about Spirit of St. Louis as well, because I loved him and you guys were all over him.
There was a big celebration where we are on the rail when that happened.
What's Randy like to work with? But you don't actually have to sit together.
I get to watch the show. That's the thing. I'm at the betting window with Edzo and Matt Bernier, and then we get to watch the show, and I get to I'm sitting there trying to put picks together to go bet, and then I hear what Randy's saying on the set, and I say, "Oh no, I got it all wrong again."
Oh, have you asked him about Wayne Lucas yet?
Yeah, I was telling him that's hopefully we'll finish that up this week and get it on. This is Randy took me over. In fact, I met Wayne last year right before the Preakness. Randy and Jerry took me over, and half an hour he just kind of held court with us, told stories. Unbelievably sharp recall. And I remember leaving, he had Just Steel, he had Seize the Gray, and neither one obviously was that highly regarded. And I asked him, what do you think? And he said, I actually kind of like the gray one.
Fabulous.
Wait, Jerry and I had talked to Wayne earlier that morning, and we were worried. We didn't think he was doing all that well. He didn't seem to be that sharp. He didn't really seem to be in a very good mood. And we were going to bring Steve over to talk to him, like in an hour. And so Jerry and I were like, "Oh my gosh, I hope this is going to go okay and all." And we brought Steve over, and Steve sat down next to Wayne in folding chairs right outside of his tack room, and Wayne just lit up. Mm-hmm. And Wayne and Steve they walked down memory lane, going way back, and Wayne was just loving it. He was so into it and so engaged and so fascinated to talk to Steve, and that was a fantastic morning for everybody.
Very cool.
All right. Well, Steve Kornacki, it was great having you on for a few minutes here. We're going to look forward to your coverage on NBC on Saturday, along with Randy Moss and Jerry Bailey. And I'm not just saying this because you two guys are on here. You guys do an unbelievably good job with these broadcasts. It's so professional, and you guys are so knowledgeable. But Steve, enjoy all the things you do on TV. I guess I'll be watching you more on NBC News now instead of NMSNBC. Congratulations on the promotion, and have a great Derby day.
Hey, thank you. Really happy to be on, and happy to be part of the ride with NBC. And Randy, I'll see you down in Louisville.
Yeah, I'll see you soon at some of those 2-hour production meetings.
Yeah, here we go.
Our guest of the week, my man Steve Kornacki, brought to you courtesy of Gainesway, who's wishing the best of luck to Flying Mohawk in the Kentucky Derby, as well as the champion Kentucky-bred female turf horse and multiple Grade 1 winner, She Feels Pretty, who looks like a solid favorite in the Modesty on Oaks Day. Both Flying Mohawk and She Feels Pretty are by the Gainesway sire Cara Conte, a multiple group winner at 2, French Classic and Breeders' Cup Mile winner as a 3-year-old, where Cara Conte recorded a 110 Beyer speed figure. Cara Conte stands at Gainesway for $15,000. Gainesway, power, passion, performance.
The sun shines bright on Cara Conte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe.
Spandarella could not have been more impressive.
She feels more than pretty. She feels fantastic.
It is all She Feels Pretty. The sun shines bright on this value sire. Cara Conte, standing at Gainesway.
On this week's edition of First Things First, I stay with the Kentucky Derby and stay with the morning line favorite in journalism. I caught up with Umberto Rispoli to talk about his travel plans. You just won the stake on Jungle Peace. You flew back. Take me through your travel the last couple of days.
Yes, well, pretty simple. Friday after races, I went to the airport. I flew from LAX at 10 o'clock, landed perfect time, even 10 minutes in advance to Cincinnati. Matt come to pick me up, grab the car, drive to Churchill. Unfortunately, the tracker wasn't in the condition to work the horse, so Michael and Aaron, we decided to don't work the horse. So I jumped right away around, and I ran to Louisville, grabbed the other plane to try to make it back for the races here. And once I landed at 9 o'clock in Atlanta, everything was beautiful. I was on time, but my first plane went canceled. So then find another plane to come to Burbank, keep delay, and I would land here around 5:38. So the race was already compromised. So I was really upset. I spent 5 hours and a half in Atlanta. I couldn't eat anything because I was trying to keep my weight anyway. Then I flew back to Louisville. I went to the shop. I went to buy some clothes because I have nothing. So now I made to the draw.
Where did Aaron Wellman tell you to go shopping?
Aaron Wellman asked me to go into Baby Gap to buy some clothes. So he said, no problems, go to Baby Gap, buy some stuff, and come to the draw. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, it was good to be there, and it was even good to work with the horse this morning.
He looked as good as I have ever seen him this morning. Gave me goosebumps watching him.
Look, I had a good feeling, be on top of him. I know then when he works by himself, he's a little bit lazy. So I like to have him like that. You know, it's a kind of horse, he's a presser, but he's very smart. You know, when he has a company around him or a target ahead of him, he knows. But you can see, like, when we get into the track and Mark, the rider, his rider, we are next to each other. We jog we back up to the wire. He jog quiet, and you can see as soon as I turn around, he put his head like that on the chest. He knew right away that he was going to work. It's a very smart horse. He's really intelligent. Look, can't be more proud than that. I'm happy then Michael, Aaron, and everybody, they were happy with the work. Look, now just knock on wood. We keep the finger crossed until Thank you, bro.
Patrick Valenzuela.
Keep a finger crossed until next Saturday. Hopefully everything went well.
Happy with the draw?
Yeah, honestly, really happy. All concerned how there is a lot of speed on my inside, a couple of other speed on the outside. It's all about to break well. Keep my finger crossed. Then that gates are really tight. He's a big boy, so hopefully he will have a good jump getting out of there. I think going to the wire is going to be very important to sit myself behind a nice horse and hopefully bring the roses home.
Many thanks to Rispoli, and yes, Baby Gap is a real thing. All right, do want to remind you that not only are they racing at Churchill Downs, but we're also racing at Santa Anita. You can come and watch the Derby and Oaks from Santa Anita. We open the doors on both days at 7:30 a.m. The first race at Churchill will go off at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Come and watch and wager on the Kentucky Derby and a plethora of races at the Great Race Place.
Well, Derby Week is more than about just the Kentucky Derby and the Kentucky Oaks. There are so many stakes races up and down the cards of these 2 days. And I got to tell you, there's some really, really fascinating races. You have some big stars coming back off of layoffs. It's going to be a great handicapping riddle. And I think that both the Friday and Saturday cards, don't tune in just for the Derby because you're going to miss a lot. So this one is a grade 2, and I picked only grade 1s after this. But how can you not talk about the Ali Sheba Stakes? Because you have in here Fierceness against Locked, the stablemate, who is also in very good form. So Pletcher's got the big 2 in here. Lock coming off a win in the Santa Anita handicap by 8.5 lengths. And then Fierceness, we know all about him, how well he ran in the Breeders' Cup Classic. I did notice, and I know it was 100 years ago, but Locke did face Fierceness in, in the 2023 Breeders' Cup Juvenile, beat him by 6 3/4 lengths. As good as Locked is, Fierceness is the horse that, some people actually thought deserved Horse of the Year because he ran such a gallant race in the Breeders' Cup Classic. He seems to have put that erratic stuff behind him, hasn't had any problems with that since the Derby of last year. He's just a fabulous horse. I think he's probably the best horse in training. That's all I'll take.
I'm in agreement with Bill here. I've watched all the works on all of these, and Fierceness, remember how he was just an okay workhorse, kind of looked like a 3-year-old filly just going through the motions with Danny Wright aboard him. His recent works at Palm Beach Downs have been nothing short of unbelievable. Pulling Danny out of the saddle, like something I've not seen before. Maybe it's not a good thing, but physically watching him on the track, he looks like he's come back bigger, better, stronger, more focused, and like a real proper horse. So I'm going to go with Fierceness, but my God, it's such a hard decision. I do like Locked in here. It is really Todd Pletcher's race to lose because he can kind of choose how these two do their running. Obviously, Fierceness will go forward, and then Locked can go wherever with Jose Ortiz. But Locked, he looked amazing when he won the Santa Anita handicap. He's a big horse who covers an awful lot of ground, the son of Gunrunner.
Yeah, I think Pletcher runs 1-2. I think it's a Fierceness Locked exacta cold. The only reason I say that with any confidence is that I think Locked is probably better at distances longer than the 1 1/16 of the Ali Sheba. The 1 1/4 Santa Anita handicap was by far his best race, although he was on the lead turning for home, really. I mean, he made a huge move in there. But what's going to happen in here, I think, Most Wanted is going to go to the lead. Fierceness is going to flip outsiding with Johnny Velasquez and stalk, and then Fierceness is going to get first jump on the field. And so, I think Fierceness is just too good. I don't quite know what to make about the audible. I think I don't want to make too much of it. Fierceness was supposed to run next weekend. And then Mike Rapoli decided kind of at the last minute before entries on Saturday that he wanted to have a horse running on Saturday, and Fierceness was the one. So Todd had to completely kind of reroute Fierceness to the Ali Sheba. But, I mean, he was ready to run. He was breezing very well, like Zoe said.
The La Troyenne is the 7th race on the Friday card at Churchill. And I mean, from a handicapping standpoint, nothing needs to be said other than Torpedo Anna is going to be 1-9. Going to be in the goofy payoffs they have with the cents. I think she's going to pay like $2.18 to win, something like that. I certainly wouldn't pick against her. And the only thing I think you can do is try to figure out who might run second and third for an exacta. And I'm pretty high on the two Chad Brown horses, Raging Sea and Randomize, probably the biggest threats for second and third. Of the two, I like Randomize more. She stumbled at the start of the Personal Ensign back in August and ran pretty poorly. Haven't seen her since then. But the race that I really liked was the Ogden Phipps before that, where she ran against a huge stacked field and include Idiomatic, and she won that one, and also in that one beat her stablemate Raging Sea, who was several lengths behind her. So I'm going to an extra special pick in here. I'm going to give you not just the winner, Torpedo Anna, but I'm going to give you the exacta Torpedo Anna over Randomize.
All right, and I'll give you the exacta, and I will take your exacta and flip it.
Ooh.
Right? I like Randomized on top of Torpedo Anna with Raging Sea in the third spot, so we can make that a trifecta. And it's even possible, right? And I'm not saying it's likely, but I would even play a trifecta of Randomized, Raging Sea, Torpedo Anna in that order. I think Torpedo Anna might be vulnerable here, coming off a couple of races at Oaklawn Park in which she towered over the competition and didn't really have to dig down. And the numbers weren't all that great because they didn't need to be all that great. And now suddenly she's going to find herself for the first time since the Breeders' Cup in a race with, horses that are really, really top quality horses. So at 1-9 or 1-5 or 2-5 or whatever she's going to be, I think it's worth this time to take a shot against her?
We shall find out. The next race we're going to do is the Churchill Downs Stakes.
Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry, Zoe.
You know, how soon he forgets. It was ladies first earlier, and now it's like ladies don't get to go.
Hey, you're going to win the draft, so Bill just,
Okay, so I was disappointed initially that Cavallari did not make the trip for Bob Baffert. She was originally slated to run in this race. She's been working fine. Bob just didn't feel now was the time to tackle Torpedo Anna. I'm inclined to disagree with him, but it's Bob Baffert. You know, he knows what's best for the horses. I really like the works of Raging Sea and Randomized. They work together for Chad Brown down there at Payson. And I think Raging Sea just got the edge over Randomized. Both of these are coming in off a layoff. Raging Sea just put it to Torpedo Anna in the Breeders' Cup. She can latch onto her again. And like Randy said, I would love nothing more than see Torpedo Anna win on Oaks Day. But I'm going to try and beat her with Pratt and Raging Sea, because he's going to latch on and not let her get away from him whatsoever.
Very good. So let's move on now to another fascinating race, the Churchill Downs Stakes. And Zoe, before I give my pick, I need an opinion from you. How has Nisos been working?
Oof. How has he been working? He worked 124 out of the gate the other day with Hope Road, who's going to run. Is she running in this race? What number race are we on? I've got to scroll through the entries.
This is the 8th race on Saturday.
Okay, the 8th. I'm getting to it. Yeah, he worked like an absolute beast out of the gate. I mean, it's not often that you see horses work in 124 out of the gate. So I'm sticking with Nisos. It's been a long time in the making to get him back to the track. He had a really nice breeze there at Churchill Downs, not 45 and change like Citizen Bull, but a nice 48 and 4, a leg stretcher. You're getting Pratt. He's undefeated. Bob would not put him on the plane if he did not think he was in tip-top shape. So Nisos for me, 4-1 if you can get it. Not going to happen. Oh,
well,
Bookham
we
Dano.
shall see. I know, poor Bookham Dano. He's in real tough here. My favorite horse. I got a T-shirt for him too, by the way. So if he wins, I'll have to wear my Bookham Dano T-shirt next week. But he's a very good horse, but he's just in too tough. There's some absolute killers in this race. Okay, my pick will be Mind Frame, and part of it is Zoe. I don't quite trust Nisos. He's 4 years old, making only his 4th lifetime start. Hasn't run in a year and 3 months. And as good as Baffert is to have those obstacles in front of him, can the horse really overcome all that in a normal situation? Yes, especially a Baffert horse. But in a stakes race this tough with this many horses, I'll take my hat off to him. If he wins this race, he is a superstar. Let's hope he can just stay healthy. So if it's not him, it's my pick is Mind Frame for Pletcher and Rispoli. He didn't really impress me very much in the Gulfstream Park Mile. It was kind of a pedestrian win. But you look back at what he did last year, running second in the Haskell and Belmont. But he ran in the Belmont his 3rd lifetime start and ran second. I think he can move up off the Gulfstream Park Mile, and I think he is the one to beat.
All right, look, in my opinion, given what we've seen so far from Nisos and the reputation that Nisos has, I think Bob, as in Bob Baffert, is going to be has been extremely cautious about when and where he runs Nisos back. And the fact that he has chosen this spot to ship Nisos, to run him on Kentucky Derby Day, in a race with this many good horses, and he knew this was going to be a loaded field. I think that's an extreme show of confidence for Baffert. He could have looked for an easy allowance race, try to sneak him in on Derby Day or Oaks Day or whatever. Do like he did with Cornucopian and, take him to New York and try to sneak him in a race somewhere else. No, he chose this spot. And I think he's definitely the horse to beat, and that's who I'm going to take. The horse that I think he's got to fear the most is Mulligan. who breaks from the far outside. Rudy Brissett hasn't run since the Cigar Mile, where he was second behind Locke, beaten just a length and a half. Didn't have the best trip really in the Breeders' Cup. I don't think he's really a 6 furlong kind of horse. I think 7 furlongs is better for Mulligan, and he gets 7 furlongs here. So I think it comes down to Nisos and Mulligan and Banishing. There's my trifecta right there.
All right, I'll move on to the 10th race, which is the Derby City Distaff. And, Randy, I'll pose this to you first. I don't know what to do with Copian. That race in the Santa Monica, 110 buyer figure, kind of came out of the middle of nowhere, though she did run a 97 in her prior start. I just think that she's got to regress off that number is a little bit of a aberration, because she just never showed that kind of ability before, nowhere close to it. But if she runs back to that, and Hope Road is in, this is the race Hope Road is in, Zoe. If she runs back to that, she's going to win. She's going to win. But I'll believe it when I see it. So I'm going to go with Chad and Ways and Means in here. Horse has been, pretty consistent. Didn't run great in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint, but has a nice 58-4 workout at Churchill on April 26th. Which is just a couple days ago. And the Flavian Pratt, Chad Brown combination, we know how strong that is. The horse has the ability to win. She can't run a 110 buyer, and neither can anyone else in this field. So it's either Copian by many lengths or something kind of strange is going to happen here.
I love horses that run too fast. In this particular case, I think Copian can run 6 or 7 points on the buyer scale slower than she ran in Santa Monica and still win. And this is, for my money, this is the best, deepest, strongest undercard stakes race of the 2 days. I would put the Churchill Downs Stakes second. So I think the 2 7 furlong races for older males and older females just came up gangbusters. And still, I think Copian is a deserving favorite in here. 8-1. In the program line is a fantasy.
She's 8-1 in the line? That's nuts.
Yes. I think you're looking at more like 8-5 than 8-1.
Yeah.
8-5 might be a little short given this field. But no, Copian to me is the real deal. So I will take her. She had a little training interruption, Zoe, in February after the Santa Monica. So that's why she hasn't run since then, but she's training well.
Yeah, she's training very, very well indeed. In fact, Jessica Pfeiffer, who works with us at Santa Anita, she actually took off Sunday because she's gone there specifically to get on Copian for Dick Mandela. She rides her every day. And she says that she can be a little bit high strung, perhaps a little dingy. So Dick wanted her there, so everything stays the same. So I'm with you. I like her. But why has nobody picked Vava? She's 4 for 4 at Churchill Downs. She's coming off a layoff. Yes, she flopped in the Breeders' Cup, but she loves Churchill Downs. She loves the distance. She won the race last year. She's a Grade 1 winner. She's 6-1 in the morning line. Give me Vava all day long.
Why don't you pick her then?
I am. Yeah.
Oh, you are? I thought you were sticking with Copian.
No. I'm going to go with Vava over Copian. It's a lot for Copian to handle.
All right.
This is as good, if not better, of a race. This race is the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint, except maybe better.
All right, folks, let's move on to the race before the Derby, and it is the Turf Classic, Grade 1, $1 million. I really like a horse in here, and our friends at West Point Stable, I think, will be thrilled to know that I picked Integration. I hated him in the Maker's Mark Mile for a couple of reasons, one of which I thought the race was way too short for him. I shouldn't say I hated him, but he had been doing so well at a 1.5 miles, 1 3/8. All of a sudden, he shows up in a 1 mile race. I knew there wasn't going to be much pace in there, and he had to beat Carl Spackler, who's an awfully, awfully good horse. He ran really well in here to finish second with the Victoria board. I'm fine with the rail draw, and I think that extra 1/8 of a mile is going to make all the distance. He should be much better at a 1.8 miles than at a mile. He over exceeded last time out. Let's put it that way.
Ladies first.
Oh, thank you. I don't really have a massive opinion in this race. This is a very good betting race for the fact that there's not an overwhelming favorite, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with Running B. He kind of had his gimme race at Tampa in the Tampa Bay Stakes. All of a sudden, I got flies buzzing around me in here. So I don't know where they've come from. I'm in the middle of the desert. There shouldn't be any flies anywhere. Anyway, so Running B, Calumet Farm, Pratt was aboard him when he won the Tampa Bay. He sees fit to ride him back, and there's no overwhelming favorite unless I'm missing something. I'm going to take the 5-1 on Running B.
All right. Well, it's
there are no buzzards circling overhead you, are there, Zoe?
Not yet.
All right. I agree with Bill. I'll take Integration, even though this has been the Chad Brown Stakes. I think he's won it 4 years in a row or something like that. It's some crazy, predictable given Chad and his success with older male grass horses and female grass horses of any kind, to tell you the truth. But anyway, Integration's last race against Carl Spackler that Bill referenced, I didn't quite know what to make of it, whether it was the ride from Frankie Dettori or if it was the horse that took himself off the bridle. But he was right there early, broke extremely well. He was in a great position, and then suddenly just completely dropped the bit, dropped 6 lengths back, and it was a slow pace. And that allowed Carl Spackler to get a huge jump on Integration. And there was no way Integration was going to overhaul Carl Spackler from behind, but he ran a really good race to re-rally and finish second. So in this spot, even with Chad Brown, I agree with Bill, and I'll take Integration.
The TDN Writers Room is brought to you by First TV. Grade 1 Stakes winner Sweet Azteca, now in the barn of trainer Richard Boltus, was out on Saturday morning to post her second workout at the Great Race Place as she continues progressing towards a racing return. She's been off since finishing 4th in the Grade 3 Chillingworth Stakes for trainer Michael McCarthy. Now with Boltus, the Grey worked 5 furlongs in a minute flat after going 4 furlongs last Saturday, April 19th, in 47-3. The Grade 1 Beholder Mile victress was spotted back mid-March when she resurfaced at San Luis Rey Training Center with a 3-furlong breeze as she posted her first work since last October. Certainly one to watch, Sweet Azteca.
Be a smarter better with First TV. The best horses. With thousands of exclusive morning workouts. All at your fingertips and delivered right into your inbox. Everything you need to be informed. Be smart. Bet smart. With First TV. All the thrills. Fraction of the bills. Experience the power of the partnership. Change your life, make new friends, and compete at the highest level of thoroughbred racing. West Point Thoroughbreds, the gold standard in racing partnerships. Visit westpointtb.com.
The TDN Writers Room brought to you by West Point Thoroughbreds, and is West Point loaded on Kentucky Derby weekend? First of all, Saturday, an epic 3-hour stretch for West Point. Sandman in the Kentucky Derby, Integration in the Turf Classic, then Carson's Run, Vava, all graded stakes winners running within that 3-hour span in the Derby and in the undercard. Also joining them, Stakes Place to Maui Strong, as West Point embarks on one of the biggest days in its history. Of course, Sandman is the cherry on top of the sundae, breaking from post 17 in the Kentucky Derby as West Point's 8th Derby starter. Just like in 2017 with Always Dreaming, St. Elias Stable is the co-owner of Sandman, as Terry Finley and Vinny Viola once again are dreaming of Derby roses, this time alongside co-owners DJ Stable and CJ Stable.
that is a wrap up of everything going on this weekend at Churchill. What do you make of the Randy, your line for who wins the draft contest? Zoe 3-5, me 6-5, you 2-1, something along those lines.
3-5, even money, and 8-1.
Wow, you really don't like your picks.
Yeah, I don't like my.
Well,
all right.
I usually don't like my fantasy draft in football either, though. So.
If Baeza gets in, you know.
Yeah, that would be a big one. Yeah, that was a risky move, but it could really pay off for you. No doubt about it. All right, that's a wrap on this week's show. I want to thank my partners, Randy Moss, Zoe Cabman, our Gainesway guest of the week, Steve Kornacki, and our producers and directors behind the scenes, Sue Finley, Katie Petruniak, Anthony LaRocca, and Aaliyah LaRocca. Everybody have a great Kentucky. Oh, and Doodle. Hi, Doodle. It's good to see you. Everybody have a great Kentucky Derby weekend. Should be fascinating. We'll see you next week. We'll wrap it all up.